Hello and welcome back to the Podcasting Problem Solver. I am Leah Bryant, your go-to podcast growth strategist, here to coach you to podcast strategically with more clarity and better results. So, when you hit publish on your last episode, were you confident it supported your business goals? Or were you simply relieved it was done? And I get it. Sometimes we're running so fast that get the episode out really becomes our mission. But then you look up one day and realize that your show is basically a glorified content hamster wheel. Yep. And if that's you, this episode is your permission slip to pause, breathe, and take a quick strategic audit of your podcast foundation. Because honestly, most podcast quote unquote problems are actually a strategy problem. And today I'm going to walk you through 3 simple questions that will tell you whether your podcast is helping or hindering those goals you're trying to accomplish in your business. And by the end of this episode, you'll know exactly where your foundation is strong, where it's shaky, and what you need to do next. All right. Inside my seamless podcast framework, the strategy phase is the blueprint, right? It's where you decide the purpose of your show, who it's for, and how it connects back to your offers. But here's where people get tripped up. They think they're being strategic because they may know their niche. But you know what? That niche does not equal strategy. Because strategy is all about alignment. So think of it like this. Your podcast and your business are holding hands. Aww. Instead of standing on opposite sides of the room and pretending that they're fine. Because when the foundation is off, yep, everything downstream gets harder. Your content, your growth, your SEO, and your momentum. So here is the mini audit that I use with clients and the one that you're going to walk away with today. And I want you to remember something. If you answer no, or I'm not sure to any of these, then you've already uncovered your strategy gap. Just wanted to give that little hint before we get started. So question number 1, does your show directly support the business goal you're focused on right this very second? Not the goal from last year, not the dream goal for the future, but the one that's sitting on your plate today. Because even though your podcast does tell your audience what you know, it is also training them to understand what you do. So, for example, if your current business goal is selling more one-on-one coaching, but every episode is educational and doesn't connect back to your actual work, what do you think is going to happen? Yep, your audience gains the knowledge, but they don't move closer to hiring you. Because if your episodes don't connect to your goals, then they can't direct listeners toward them. Okay, question number 2. Is your audience clear, and I mean crystal clear, on who your show is for and what they'll walk away with? Because if a listener can't explain your show in one sentence, they're not going to listen to more than one episode, okay? And if they don't do this, well, they're probably not going to buy from you. So this may show up as a show summary that's kind of like meh. Episode topics that feel nice, but they're not intentional at all. And listeners who love you, but they don't convert. Or maybe you have slow growth, even though you're putting in tons of work, right? And the reason why I want you to get crystal clear on this is because clarity creates momentum. And when you're confused, well, that really creates stagnation, right? And this is exactly what we avoid in the seamless sprint when I work one-on-one with podcasters. All right, so question number 3, are your episode topics aligned with the transformation your offers provide? So this is the one that sealed the deal for me years ago, okay? Topics should lead people toward the work you do, not sideways, not away, and definitely not to the middle of nowhere. We've talked about bridges a lot on this podcast. When clients tell me my podcast doesn't convert, 9 out of 10 times it's because their episodes are valuable, but not strategically valuable, okay? Imagine running a wedding photography business, but creating episodes about how to shoot landscapes. Is it helpful? Sure. Aligned? No, not even a little. So if your episode doesn't move someone closer to your paid work, then it's just a whole lot of effort with nothing in return. And sometimes that's fine, but for your podcast, no, it's not. So I had a client one time who came to me saying, Leah, I love my podcast, but it's basically an expensive hobby at this point, and we don't want that. She was publishing weekly. Her content was solid, and her audience adored her. But you know what? She wasn't converting a single listener into a paying client. So we walked through these 3 exact questions, and one thing became so clear. Her show was inspiring people, but her business was built around equipping people. Yep. The inspiration wasn't the problem. You know what was? That's right, friend. It was the alignment. So we reworked her strategy and clarified the purpose of her show and also tightened the episode topics so that each one connected to a specific shift she helps people make. And you know what happened? Within a month, she landed 2 clients directly from a podcast without changing anything about her release schedule. Because that's the power of a strong foundation. And that's why I talk about it so much. Because when you walk through these 3 questions, one of these 3 things is going to happen. 1, you're going to confirm your foundation is strong. Amazing. Keep going. 2, you are going to catch some small misalignments. And that's okay. It's an easy fix that's going to create big results. Or 3, you're going to realize your show has been running on vibes. And today is your turning point, friend, if that is you. And what I want you to remember is that strategy is about being intentional, okay? Now, this entire audit sits inside the strategy phase. I know I kids talk strategy all the time, right? Of the Seamless Podcast Framework. Because without a clear strategy, you know what's going to happen? Your execution is going to feel overwhelming, your attraction is going to become inconsistent, and your momentum is going to feel impossible. But when you have a strong foundation, everything else gets lighter. It gets easier, more, well, seamless. Yes, I had to say it. And if you're listening and thinking, okay, Leah, I need a second pair of eyes on this. Well, good, because that's exactly what I'm here for. And you have 2 ways to get support. One is one-on-one coaching with my Seamless Sprint. It's where we will build or rebuild the strategic foundation together and set up a podcast that's actually going to drive your leads, visibility, and authority. The other option is a Seamless Podcast Growth Audit. And that is where I will identify exactly where your strategy is off, what to fix and how to fix it so that your podcast will support your business goals. Whichever path you choose, you won't be guessing. And that's the best part, right? You'll be growing on purpose. Your podcast is too powerful, too meaningful, and too full of potential for it to run on freaking autopilot. A few small shifts in strategy can and will create massive shifts in your impact. And friend, you deserve a show that works as hard for your business as you work for your audience. Okay, so if this episode was helpful, hit follow, share it with a friend. Come tell me in the DMs. If you have questions, come ask me in the DMs. On Instagram, it's Leah Bryant_co. Happy to chat, all the things. And until next time, keep podcasting with purpose, keep your foundation strategic, and above all else, we're going to keep it seamless. And I'll see you next time.